welcome to today's class. No props are needed for today unless you like a little bit of support during pigeon pose. Otherwise, nothing else is necessarily required. It's going to be a pretty active class. We're going to get moving right from the get-go. So whenever you have what you need and you're ready to go ahead and meet me in tabletop position. So coming into tabletop, feel free to start shifting your weight, shifting your body forward and back, side to side right away. Checking in with your body, seeing how everything is feeling, all the way from the fingertips to the toes. Feel free to shift your weight back into the heels, or back into the hips, hips to heels, stretching out the soles of the feet. Maybe flipping the position of your hands, getting into form just a little bit. Take whatever movements you need. Again, taking this moment as more of a personal warm-up, nothing set in stone, nothing absolute. Just kind of feeling the energy through your body as we get started today. Feel free to start to incorporate the movement of the spine. Taking more fluid cat-cows forward and back. Maybe some side bending, crunching side to side, bringing the hip up towards the armpit. Maybe rolling into some barrel rolls. Again, just exploring how everything is feeling today. Now your next breath, come into your stable tabletop position. We're going to take a few more organized cat-cows here to warm up. So from your neutral spine, go ahead and allow the belly to fall as you reach the sit bones towards the sky. Gripping the fingers into the earth as you pull the chest through. Gaze lifts up. Finishing that inhale. Exhale, press through the earth as you round the shoulder blades, the upper back. Tailbone tucks under. Finishing the exhale as your chin tucks in towards the chest. Inhale, allow the belly to fall, pull the chest through. Exhale, round. Checking in with every point along the spine, seeing where an extra hold, an extra effort is needed. Inhale. Pull through. Inhale, round. Gentle engagement in core as you find your end range. One more round, inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale, come back towards tabletop position. Tuck the toes if you untuck them from your warm-up. And then press through the big toe, press through the heel of the hands, and let the knees hover from the earth. Give yourself a moment here to check in with every muscle that's turning on here. Feeling engaged and strong from the heel of the hand all the way through the shoulder blades. Staying strong in the core, tucking the belly button in towards the spine just a little bit stronger. And then feeling the support of the thighs as they hover from the earth. Tugging all 10 toes underneath you to find that support. And then on the exhale, just lower down. See how that engagement felt for you. Were you able to stay strong through the shoulder blades? Stay strong in the core, stable in the legs. And then on your next breath, go ahead and press through your base of support once more. Come to hover. Gaze, stay straight down towards the earth. Try not to tuck the chin in towards the chest or reaching it too far beyond the front edge of the mat. Keep your neck, the upper part of your spine neutral. And on your exhale, press the hips up, the knees back towards the direction of straight. And then readjust your stance to come into downward facing dog. Coming into first downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. Swish the hips side to side, exploring the length of your side body, your left to right. Maybe pressing your chest a little bit further, a little bit closer towards the earth. Finding that expansion through the chest, a little bit of mobility through the upper back. Again, give your body the attention it needs in the areas that it's needed. Your next breath, go ahead and settle in. That energy is starting through the heel of the hand, gripping the fingers gently into the mat and pulling that energy up into the shoulder blades as you press even further away from the earth. Biceps are towards the ears, triceps are wrapping back towards the back edge of the mat. Finding that energy all the way through the sit bones as the sit bones, the tailbone reach towards the sky. Heels drive down towards the earth. Knees pressing back in space. And take one full breath in here. Deep inhale, filling the lungs. Exhale, settling into your space just a little bit deeper. On your next inhale, rise up high onto your toes, heels lift. And on the next exhale, press through your heel, your hand just a little bit more as you bend the knees, sit the hips back. And on your next inhale, you're going to start to round the spine forward. So you're going to press through your toes, straighten the legs as you wrap that energy coming through a cat pose of the spine, rounding the upper back as you settle into plank pose. Pause in plank pose. And take an inhale, and on your exhale, slowly lower down to the count of 5, all the way to your belly. 4, 3, 2, 1, lower down. Finishing that exhale. Untuck the toes. Toes are pointing back behind you. Arms come alongside the body. Inhale, lift up into locust pose. Gaze is just beyond the front edge of the mat. Fingertips reaching back behind you, toes reaching back, everything lifting up and back together. Exhale, lower, hands come underneath shoulders. Sit the hip, press up, sit the hips back, hips to heels. Exhale. Drop the forearms, gaze forward. Inhale, pull the body through like you're snaking and slithering up towards upward facing dog. Pull the body through. Pressing through the tops of the feet so those thighs are hovering from the mat. Then exhale, press back, downward facing dog. We're going to go through that transition once more. So settle into your downward facing dog. On your inhale, rise up high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees, sit the hips back, gaze forward. And then start to unravel the spine, pressing through the toes, straighten the legs, unraveling that energy through the spine as you round, and then open up into plank pose. Staying strong, pressing through the heel of the hand. Engage through the core in that plank pose. And then lower to a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Belly to the mat. Untuck the toes, arms straight alongside your body. Inhale, rise up into locust pose. Everything in the back body is engaged, pulling everything in towards one another as the fingertips and toes reach back. Chest lifts, gaze forward. Exhale, lower. Hands underneath the shoulders. Press hips back to heels. Finishing that exhale. Forearms drop to the earth. Gaze forward and start to snake the body through, slinking all the way through, pulling the chest between the fingertips. You pull through upward facing dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Now we're going to start to flow through a variety of movements. Kind of working through our strength. On the next inhale, rise up on the toes, heels lift. Exhale, bend the knees, sit the hips back, gaze forward. And then on the next breath, go ahead and unravel the body, rounding the spine, coming into plank pose. Finding your strength here. And from here, we're going to lower down into chaturanga. So we're not going all the way belly to the mat. We're going to come to hover. So go ahead and lower down into your chaturanga. From here, keep the shoulder blades down against the back body. Bend the left foot. Set the heel comes towards the bottom. And then start to open the body towards the left, bringing the left foot outside the edge of the mat. If you have that strength, if you can hold on to it, stay hovering. If not, allow that right hip to come to the mat. From here, you can spin the right toes to reposition your body. And then you're gonna press up into wild thing. Letting the right shoulder spin open, shoulder blades along the back side of the rib cage. Opening the front body, pressing the hips up and forward. Engaging the glutes to find that opening. Start to spin the right foot so the toes are facing the left edge of the mat. And then you're gonna drive the left knee in towards the chest. Staying strong in that right arm. Driving the left knee, start to spin on the right toes, bringing the left foot to the outer edge of the mat. It's like you're in a runner's lunge position. You can keep the left hand wherever you need it. The right hand's on the mat, left foot's on the mat, and right foot's back behind you. Now start to spin the right toes to the right edge of the mat, almost like you're coming into warrior legs. Then press all your energy back into that right foot, coming into a lunge at the back of the mat. Coming into Skandasana. From here, right fingertips plant, opening that right hip just a little bit more. Left arm reaches up and open. You can stay hovering on the right toes. The heel doesn't have to be on the mat. Mine's hovering just as well. So whatever that means for you, you can stay high if that's more accessible. And from here, start to close the chest off towards the back of the mat, spinning on those right toes. Hands frame the right foot. Inhale up, crescent lunge. Driving the left heel back behind you, sinking low into the hips, committing to that right knee. Exhale, hands down. Keep the left hand planted and start to spin all 10 toes over to your right edge. So opening everything up towards that right side, and then swing the arm up and overhead, coming into like a twisted lunge. Just keeping the legs lifted, pressing through the outer edges of the feet. Then on your exhale, sink the hips lower if that's accessible for you, coming a little bit deeper, reaching the right fingertips towards the back edge of the mat. Unravel the hips. Hands reframe the right foot just briefly, and then start to walk the hands, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Now you're facing what was the right edge of your mat. And then you're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Just hang here for just a moment. Make any adjustments in your stance that you need. Then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Reaching the hips back behind you, but also reaching up towards the sky. So trying to explore that hinge of the hips a little bit deeper. Again, adjusting the width of your stance as you need. Inhale, halfway lift once more. Plant the right hand at midline, and then open the left arm up towards, open the body up towards the left. Exploring a little bit of a twist throughout the spine. Trying to keep the hips level. So maybe driving back through the right hip or sit bone just a little bit more. Trying to keep that symmetry so that we can deepen or explore the depth within this twist just a little bit further. Exhale, hand comes down. Left hand replaces the right. Inhale, open towards the right. Driving back through the left hip now just a little bit to keep that symmetry. Left hand's at anchor point, allowing your body, upper body to twist. Reaching the right fingertips high. Staying strong and anchored through the soles of the feet. Exhale, lower. And then start to walk the hands to frame the left foot. All the toes are going to now spin and reface the front of the mat. And then you're gonna walk the left foot over towards the right because we're gonna drop down into pigeon pose. So whatever that looks like for you, if you don't have a blanket or a prop nearby, feel free to bring the left heel in towards the right hip a little bit more to find a little bit more ease. But give yourself a moment to settle down into pigeon pose. This is a difficult pose to, even if you've accessed it a few times in the past, it can be difficult to do consistently because the energy likes to get stuck in the hips. So feel free to make any adjustments that you need to find a little bit more comfort and ease in this pose today. So some of those variations may look like, so for me right now, my right leg is extended long back behind me. If that's difficult for you to settle into today, feel free to bring the right knee up to the sole of the left foot. Might find a little bit more comfort in that left hip. So that's one modification you can make. If you find that you're having a little bit of difficulty, you want to stay in this more extended position, you're having a little bit more difficulty staying grounded in that right hip, bring the left heel in towards you just a little bit more. If you're able to keep that left shin a little bit more parallel towards the front of the mat, and you want to explore this depth, and you have props nearby, if you have a blanket, or even a smaller throw pillow or anything nearby, you can always slide that underneath the left thigh, and it'll give you a little bit more boost. That'll help fill the space, fill the gap, to allow you to square off the hips just a little bit more. Again, make any adjustments that feel good for you. Feel free to stay upright, or you can walk the hands out in front of you and settle over that left leg. Wherever you are at in this moment, try to settle in for the next 2 breaths. Wherever you ended up, you can go ahead and bring the left heel in towards the right hip. So give yourself some space to plant the hands, tuck the back toes. If you had that right leg extended, if you brought it in, go ahead and extend it back, tuck the back toes, press through the hands, press through the right toes, and then bring your left leg up and back into 3-legged dog. And then give yourself a moment to open up into more of a hip opener, coming into a version of Wild Thing, bringing the left heel towards the bottom, opening the hip towards the left edge of the mat. And then close the left leg off, come back into downward facing dog. Take a moment or two to reintegrate. We're going to transition over to the other side. On your next inhale, rise up high onto the toes. Exhale, sit the hips back towards the heels, gaze forward, and then start to round. Use that momentum to round the body up to plank pose. Give yourself a moment to find that strength into plank pose. We're going to lower down into chaturanga. So go ahead and lower. Once you're at to hover, bend the right foot, bend the right knee, heel to glute, and then start to open the body towards the right, allowing the right foot to plant on the opposite side. Again, you can allow the left hip to drop down, make any adjustments as you then press up into Wild Thing. Open the body, allowing the left arm to spin open, shoulder blade engages onto the back body. Right fingertips reaching back behind you, engaging the glutes, pressing the hips up. Opening the front of the body, feeling that expansion. And then allowing the left foot to plant like you're coming into a side plank. And then start to drive the right knee in towards the right armpit, in towards the chest. And start to spin on the back toes to gently bring your right foot to the right edge of the mat. Staying lifted here for just a moment, exploring the space in the left hip. And then start to shift your weight back into that left foot, bending the left knee, straightening the right leg, sitting into Skandasana. If you find that your left heel is lifted from the mat and you want a little bit of support, if you have a blanket, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, fold the mat under that left heel to give yourself a little bit of support. Left arm comes inside the left knee, plant the hand, and then open the right arm up and overhead. Exploring that space, finding that twist. Again, you can stay lifted in the right knee, coming into more of a side lunge to explore that space with a little bit more ease, more comfort. One more breath. And then start to close everything off towards the back edge of the mat to frame the left foot, spin the toes, all facing in that direction, and inhale, crescent lunge. Driving the right heel back and down, pulling the hip bones up and forward to find the length within the front of the right leg. And then sink the hips low. Reaching the fingertips up tall. Go ahead and plant the hands. Right hand stays onto the mat. And then start to spin all the toes over towards the left. Inhale the left arm up and open, opening the chest, pressing through that right arm, staying grounded, staying lifted. You can stay here unless you want to explore more depth. Exhale, sink the hips lower, reaching the left fingertips towards the back of the mat. Settling into those hips, feeling the sensation on the outer edge of that right hip. Unwind the hips, framing the left foot for just a moment, and then starting to spin all the toes towards the right edge of the mat, coming into the wide-legged forward fold once more. Finding this pose for a second time today. Feel free to take any variation that feels good for you. You can bring the legs wider or closer together. But wherever they're at, maybe anchoring, grasping the outer edge of both feet. Inhale, finding length of the crown. Exhale, folding forward. Using that grasp as your anchor point to pull the body down. Sit bones and tailbones are still reaching up towards the sky and the space behind you. As you pull the chest down, the elbows flare out. So that you're using the strength of your upper arm to help with that movement, exploring that space. Inhale, find length through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Take 2 more breaths, repeating those motions. Lengthening on the inhale, exhaling, folding forward a little bit deeper. Then go ahead and reframe the left foot, tucking the toe, facing all 10 toes towards the back of the mat. And then start to walk the left foot over towards the right wrist. Oh, nope. Also left. Facing towards the top of the mat. Right foot is forward, left foot is back. And then you're gonna walk the right foot towards the left wrist. And then drop the right knee open towards the right. Maybe walking the left toes back behind you a little bit deeper. Extending the right leg long again. Recalling the modifications from the first side. Whether you bring the left knee in or bring the right heel closer in towards the left hip. And moving with and through the space that you have available with you today. If you wanted any props on the first side that you want to use for side 2. Again, anything that's comfortable and supportive can be used. If you spot anything nearby that would be helpful in giving that right leg a little bit of support, feel free. Trying to drive that left hip down. Then also staying lifted within the torso. So we're trying to avoid compressing the low back as much as able. So if staying upright is too intense, always feel free to explore folding the body over that front right leg. And breathing into that tension, breathing into the sensations of the right hip. This pose always has the capacity to feel very intense. So that intensity is normal. But you don't want to be holding on to tension elsewhere in the body. So if you're clenching your jaw, if you're having a hard time allowing that left leg to relax, make the modifications available to you. Take a few more breaths here. If you folded the body forward, go ahead and walk the hands back up, coming to that upright position. Make any modifications you need to make space for your hands. Tuck the back toes. Press through the toes, the heels of the hands, bring the right knee up in towards your chest, and then press back into a 3-legged dog. Rebend the right knee, and then start to open the hips over to the right. Finding the space through the right side body, the right hip. Square the hips once more, straighten the right leg, and then lower down into a downward facing dog. We're going to explore some more mobility within the hips. So from downward facing dog, come into that hovering tabletop position. Adjust your hands, adjust your feet as you move. Staying in about the middle of the mat. And then from here, bring the left foot a little bit closer towards the midline. Drive the right knee up and towards your chest so the right leg can cross over the left. Drop the knees down towards the earth, allowing the feet to come wide, knees overlapping one another, and then press the hips back in space. Coming into Gomukhasana. with your legs in this position. If it's uncomfortable to maintain a static pose, you can keep the hands out in front of you, and then you can just rock forward and back, exploring the space that is available to you in a way that's comforting and soothing for your body. But if you are able to sit all the way upright, make any adjustments you need. Allowing the feet to come towards the outer edge of the mat. Again, knees are stacked on top of one another. And then if you'd like to stay in the static pose here, as we did during pigeon pose, if you'd like to stay upright, if that feels good for you, go ahead and stay there. But if that sensation that you get within the hips feels good when you're folding forward, go ahead to do that. Go ahead and progress there if that feels good for you. No specific cues for where to have your body folded over your knees. Again, just allowing your body to find that compression between the thighs and the torso. If you need that support of your hands in any capacity, to remain soft and unengaged elsewhere in the body. Again, the focus remains on the hips. So if you're experiencing sensations elsewhere, go ahead and bring the hands underneath you. Keep your torso supported. Because we're spending a few extra moments in these poses, once you're able to settle in, bring the focus back on the breath, trying to explore the depth with every inhale and exhale. Can be challenging when transitioning at a faster pace or when exploring more challenging poses. So once you're able to settle in, to find your comfortable space, refocus on the breath. Two more breaths here. And then if you didn't have the hands out in front of you, bring them back for support. And then start to press through the bottom knee, pull through with the hands. Find your upright position. And then bring the feet underneath you just a little bit more, mainly that left leg. Bring it back towards midline, tuck the toes. Press through the left toes and the heels of the hands. Lift the knees. Unwrap the right leg. Staying in that hovering tabletop, bring now the right knee in towards midline. The left knee drives towards the chest as the left leg crosses over the right. Allow the knees to fall down to the earth. Opening the feet towards the opposite edges of the mat, and then sit the hips back. And maybe keeping the hands planted, sitting the hips back. Maybe that's everything that feels good for you today. Maybe keeping the torso a little bit longer helps find ease here. The arms reaching towards the top of the mat, almost like you're coming into a child's pose, a funky position of your legs instead. Or you can walk the hands all the way up and towards you. Make adjustments to the legs that you feel that you need. Stay upright, stay folded forward, stay lifted wherever you need. And as you settle in, start to appreciate the mix of opening of the hips, compression of the hips, There's an intertwining of sensations that you may be feeling here in this moment. But as you start to settle the mind, settle the body by slowing and deepening your breath, allow the sensations in the legs and the hips to come to the surface. Assess quietly in your mind how these sensations are feeling. Maybe they're intense. Maybe they're pretty mild today. Maybe you're feeling pretty open, and this feels good. Or however you showed up today in class. It's hard to be in this pose and not feel something in some capacity. So what is that for you today? A few more breaths here. Give your mind and your body a few extra moments to appreciate where you are. Extend the arms out in front of you if they weren't already. Press through the bottom leg. Returning to that version of tabletop. Bring the right foot back to midline, tucking the toes. Pressing through the toes, the heels of the hands, unravel that left foot. Coming back into a hovering tabletop position, and then lower the knees. Keeping the hips over the knees, you can keep the toes tucked or untucked. Start to walk the hands out long, transitioning into puppy pose. Allowing the arms to reach out forward and long. Chest melts down to the earth, and forehead comes to the mat. Allowing the sit bones to reach tall back behind you. Hips stay lifted. Start to press through the hands, through the palms. And then start to slowly walk the hands back towards you. Untuck the toes, bring the knees, the thighs, the shins together to touch. And sit back, hips to heels. Reaching the spine long. And inhale, place the fingers, palm towards heart center. Exhale, let it all go. Deep inhale, filling the palms with energy. Exhale, flip the grip, thumbs towards the mat, rounding the upper back, reaching the palms away from you. Keeping the fingers laced. Inhale, reach the palms up high. Expanding the chest, opening the shoulders, pulling the chest through. Exhale, release the grip, drive the elbows in towards the side body, cactusing the arms. Feeling the shoulder blades squeeze along the spine, along the rib cage. And then closing everything off, bringing the palms in towards one another, like you're hugging the air in front of you, re-rounding the back, letting the shoulder blades spread wide. Like you're pulling the energy between your palms. Lace the fingers and then bring all of that energy back towards heart center. Inhale. Take it all in. And exhale, flip the grip, press the palms away from you, round in the upper back. Inhale, arms up overhead. Keeping the fingers laced, pulling the chest through, opening the shoulders. Exhale, drive the elbows down. Opening up, cactusing the arms, pushing the chest forward. Rounding the upper back, pulling the fingertips, making a big circle around you. Big orb of energy. Palms come to touch, lace the fingers, pull everything in towards heart center. Deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Another breath in. Exhale all the way out. Plant the right fingertips outside the edge of the mat, keeping the hips anchored towards the heels. Inhale, left arm up and overhead, reaching towards the right. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, left fingertips plant on the outside of the mat. Right fingertips reach up and overhead, expanding the right side body. Inhale, arms up overhead. Gentle twist comes next. Bring the right fingertips back behind you. Left hand comes to the outer edge of the right knee. Inhale, tall. Exhale, spin. Opening the chest even a little bit further towards the right edge of the mat. Trying to press the left collar, pull the left collarbone forward, pulling the right collarbone back. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, reversing the movement. Right hand comes outside left knee. Left fingertips back behind you. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, spin. Spinning the chest open, pressing, pulling that left collarbone back, pressing that right collarbone forward. Using the placement of your hands to find that leverage. Inhale, arms come back up overhead, reaching long. Then exhale, hands come to heart center. From here, open your knees out wide towards the outer edges of the mat. Hands plant to the earth and start to walk the hands forward. Coming into child's pose. From here, go ahead and thread the right arm underneath the left, coming in to thread the needle, allowing the right ear to come towards the earth, gazing over towards the left. Keeping the sit bones anchored towards the heels, keeping that length by reaching that left arm forward. Breathing into that right rib cage. Right arm meets the left. Thread the needle on the left side. Left arm threads underneath the right. Allowing the left shoulder to come down onto the earth. Left ear onto the earth. Reaching the right fingertips long. Palm is up towards the sky. Deepening that twist as much as you'd like. Unravel. Bring the left arm to meet the right. And then you're going to pull your body through up to a high cobra, taking your time. As you start to pull through the fingertips, gripping your fingers into the earth, into the mat, rounding the back. Then as the hips start to fall, you're going to make an adjustment to your knees as you need. But the hips start to fall. And they pull the chest forward. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Fingertips come out wide. Either even with your shoulders, maybe above or below, whatever allows you to move through the space that you have. We're going to move through oscillating cobra. On the toes untucked. Extending long back behind you. Inhale, press through the fingertips as you peel the chest away from here. On that inhale, engage in the back body, and exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Moving nice and slow, like the air around you is as thick as can be, and you have to use the strength of your back body, the energy through the fingertips to lift all the way up. Exhale, lower down. Forehead's the last to touch. Twice more, inhale. Elbows driving up towards the sky. Pressing through the fingertips, engaging the back body to lift the chest. Exhale, lower. Inhale once more. Peeling up nice and slow. Your gaze is the last to lift. Exhale, lower. We're going to work into the shoulders on our last 2 rounds. Make any adjustments that you need. Inhale, peel the body up. On your exhale, you're going to allow your right shoulder to dip in towards the center of the mat. Gaze over towards the left. Feeling that opening through the front of the right shoulder. Inhale, back up through center. Exhale, left shoulder dips in towards midline. Gaze towards the right. Lower down. Inhale up through center. Gaze is the last to lift. Exhale, lower. Hands underneath shoulders. Press back, child's pose. In your final resting pose here today, feel free to be as relaxed or as engaged as you'd like, as open or as closed off as you'd like. You can bring the knees nice and wide, allowing the belly to fall towards the earth. You can allow the forearms to rest onto the mat. You can keep the arms long and engaged out in front of you, keeping that energy all the way through the last moments. Or you can close everything off. You can bring the thighs to touch, heels to touch, shins to touch, forehead to the earth, and arms wrap alongside the legs, coming into embryo. Feel free to finish off your class today wherever you feel best. Thank you so much for practicing with me, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time.